Quite a history with Migrant Legal Aid. I have twin daughters who are fluent in Spanish, and they both worked with Migrant Legal Aid as outreach workers. And they went around to different farms, making sure that checking with people to see if there are any legal problems that the workers were encountering. And I've also, as the judge of the 62B District Court, asked Migrant Legal Aid to come in and train our staff in cultural sensitivity.
My history with Michigan Migrant Legal Aid is they've always supported their cause and their golf outings and other fundraisers. And then I served on their board from 2008 through 2011.
When I first heard about Migrant Legal Aid was when I had a problem with a young lady. And they told me there was this agency that had been there for years. I discovered years was only 1973. However, they made it sound like it had been there for 100 years, that helped people. So I, at that point, made a call to connect this young lady who was being physically abused. And all I did was make one phone call, send them in, and they were, she was helped.
I know of Migrant Legal Aid about 3 years ago. I have been supporting the organization with the events they host as well as financially.
Farm workers are very important in our daily life. This is where we get our food from. And all those berries that we eat, all those apples that we eat, have to be hand-picked. And farmers rely on migrant workers to come in and during the season for a particular crop.
Farm workers are important in our community and in our lives because there's 45,000 of them, give or take, spread across the state. They help maintain and support a business that brings millions, if not billions of dollars to the state. They spend some of that money here in our own communities. They go to school with our children. They go to our churches. They support our local economies, our grocery stores. They're part of the fabric of our society.
Farm workers are so important in our community. We wouldn't eat if we didn't have farm workers. Who goes and picks the fruit, the vegetables, in hot days, cold days, we're so used to our comfort.
Migrant Legal Aid is very unique because they have a bilingual staff. They also do outreach in the migrant camps.
Well, the outreach program is very important because we're dealing with a lot of people who are from another country, who have different cultural values, and many of them can be exploited. They're a long way away from home, and the only person they know is the crew leader. And sometimes the crew leaders are exploiting the people, the actual workers. And so it's important to have legal protections for the people who are actually doing the work so that they're not exploited by either the crew leaders or the farmers.
Well, I found that they had a lot of staff that can assist us, bilingual. They've always been there whenever we've needed assistance in that area. And just opening, and I think what it shows is that it's not just a job, it's not just an agency. They care about their clients and they work with them. That's so important to have that buy-in.
Migrant Legal Aid is unique because they have, first of all, about 45 years experience serving the farm worker community. They have the ability to file hundreds of class action lawsuits, so they can cover, using one plaintiff, they can cover hundreds of other similarly situated plaintiffs.
Together, the Community Relations and Migrant Legal Aid, we reviewed the policies, make some suggestions, and we were able to bring that to the city to make sure it was inclusive of all.
Fortunately, one of the first policy I introduced in becoming chief was the foreign national policy. And Migrant Legal Aid was instrumental in reviewing that policy and making sure that we were crossing our T's, dotting our I's, that would ensure that we are building trust within the community. Now, anytime our federal partners are contacted, I have to approve it.
And Migrant Legal Aid did the same thing with the Equal Services Policy to make sure that people felt safe going to the city and make sure that nobody was going to ask them their immigration status, and making sure they feel safe in the city and make sure we were inclusive to everybody.
If migrant legal aid did not exist, a lot of the workers would be exploited by the farmers, the growers, by the crew workers, the crew leaders.
If migrant legal aid was not in our community, the abuse would be so great.
And Migrant Legal Aid, I'm aware, are working to make sure that doesn't occur. So they serve a big part of our community and making sure that people are not being preyed upon.
I believe that through the 45 years that Migrant Legal Aid has been around, they have established a reputation not just with the courts and judges and law enforcement people and other people in the judicial system, both at the federal and state level, but they've also garnered the trust of the people they serve. A lot of what goes on in those communities is word of mouth, and I do believe that over the years, the word has spread, that these are people that are looking out for your best interests, people that will help you, people that will listen to you, and people that will help you avoid abusive employers. You need an organization like Migrant Legal Aid to stand up for these people, to defend these people, to make sure that they're treated fairly. Not that they're given anything they're not entitled to, but they're at least treated fairly and with the dignity that any worker of any nationality or background deserves.
Migrant legal aid, you send someone there and they're treated as first-class citizen. They're at that moment the most important person in the room. And to me, it's just class. It's just something that we need to have everywhere.